And I prepared a little talk, and I gave it a title. It's called Before, During, and After Woke. And now that I'm representing the non-visual arts here, let's see where this goes. So my friend here for over 30 years, Maren, she has primarily invited me because we have in fact known each other for so long, but she also still remembers when I was a professional musician in Hamburg, Germany, making records, touring, giving interviews to Rolling Stone mag and MTV and all the rest of it in the wonderful 1990s. So let me take you briefly back to what it was then to be a female musician in an indie rock band, not a singer, but a guitarist, songwriter and producer and a singer. And that was long before woke or any DEI quotas or any agenda like that. It was a very, very different time, and I'm trying to convey what it was like before woke. So I signed my first record deal in 1995 at the age of 19, and with it a publishing contract with Rough Trade Records. I was in a band with guys, and we had our own studio, and where we produced our music, we recorded and produced the music. And because we paid for everything with the part-time jobs we did, it wasn't exactly luxurious. It was not very nice. It wasn't exactly a stock Aitken and Waterman studio or R. Kelly studio, nothing like that. It was just a very independent indie studio. So we were independent in all our decisions, and the record company then bought our recordings. That was the kind of contract that we had. So while we were a band, we also fought and were notorious for fighting. At some interview, I remember I had cutlery thrown at me for saying something, and and that all went into the report and the interviews. And so we were the band Stella from Germany, from Hamburg, always fighting about some issues and also happening to make music and play concerts. So I came into the band as a songwriter, and also young and naive as I was, as a feminist, inspired by the likes of the 1990s indie stars like PJ Harvey or Liz Phair. And my idea of feminism at the time was something like the dictatorship of the creativity of the woman. Because if you knew that time, women had no say in the creative process in the studio, be it in the rehearsal room, be it in the recording room, or be it in the room with the mixer and all the rest of it. So, and I wanted to have full control of the creative process at the time. That was my idea of feminism. And I didn't want to attach myself to my male bandmates' idea of what a good song was, very understandably, perhaps. And of course, there was sexism in the music industry. And of course, women were mocked. You could be a singer and sometimes even lyricist, but if you were a music producer, everyone, as a woman, you would be questioned. Say, what are you doing there? Why this doesn't sound right? And then, I did all the mixes for the records at the end of the day. And say, oh, a woman did these mixes? Actually, yeah. So, surprise, surprise, women could do that. So, but at the time, this feminist attitude was met with suspicion. Remember, this was long before Beyoncé shone with a feminist light spectacle at the MTV Awards. Instead of being rewarded, I lost deals and partnerships and contracts. For example, with a fashion designer who was supposed to do our roadshow, affiliated with Diane von Furstenberg, but doesn't really matter at this point. She said that feminism was harmful, and bad for her brand. So I lost that contract, and after 15 years on being on this up and down kind of thing, I stopped making records, and we were quite ahead of our time, perhaps in terms of social justice, but we were also dropped from our label. And by the 2010s, everything changed, and feminism and anti-capitalism, Occupy Wall Street, and public intellectuals like Slavoj Žižek, they became big hits. They were the years of what I like to call the Guardian-style left-wing social activism, the 2010s. the ticket to being successful in the culture industry was to check the boxes of anti-capitalism, anti-racism, anti-sexism, anti-homophobia, and being pro-trans. And of course, at the end of the day, this had become just a brand. The one artist I remember from that time, or who came up in that time, and who embodied this shift, was the rapper Kate Tempest, as she was called. As maybe some of you know her, and now she goes by her non-binary, always jumping on the bandwagon. Kate Tempest. I'm not saying she isn't talented. I know too little of her music to judge that, but it's true. It seems to me that during these years, it's become more and more of a brand, and that creativity in focus, in fact, does suffer from this correct view of the world that is exposed at events like Glastonbury Festival and such. So I continued to produce music. Then I switched over to electronic music, and when I was living in Japan for a couple of years, I was assigned to a Japanese techno label, and I was DJing, so that was my thing. And all the while, ditching my music continuously, increasingly for an academic career, which ironically ended in a complete reversal of my music career. The university became completely swallowed by the DEI agenda, and students became little state functionaries reporting you to the Politburo if you didn't comply to the mask wearing and dared to question, for example, COVID policies. So I switched to another kind of career, and then I left that too. And so I'm just saying this because more than the arts, even the education sector is suffering under these DEI and so on quotas. But what I want to point out is really difficult, and it's a different situation from what Matthew says about theater, the arts that are representative in the direct way, because in music you don't have that. It's the least visual of the arts. There are no real quotas or agendas. But to me, just to finish this off, it's clear to me that we miss the whole point of DEI and woke more broadly. If we think this is about respect and inclusivity of other races or genders, non-conforming genders or non-heterosexuality, to me this is increasingly about authoritarianism and never about the actual content of the agenda. This is a distraction. It's always a distraction. There's a nice quote by James Lindsay who says, "The issue is never the issue is always revolution," in this kind of sense. At the end of the day, it's about compliance. And this is something that we have to keep an eye on, I guess. Thank you so much.